Fight, Laugh, Feast. T-shirts, our new T-shirts for club members.
Okay.
Hey.
We're going to talk Hunger Games 2020. You guys been up on that?
Yeah.
No, you haven't.
Unfortunately.
No.
Impeachment. I'm kind of bored of that. Impeachment.
I think everybody
Did you
is.
get one of these for Nate?
Oh, I need to get one. And we also have N.D. Wilson in the studio.
Hey.
Talk Riot and the Dance.
It's the first time in the new studio.
Yeah.
First time.
We've been here for a while. I'm a little embarrassed.
After what happened last time, we needed to give it a what? No, I'm kidding.
A little detox.
Totally kidding. Totally kidding.
That's right. Well, hey, welcome to Cross Politics. Pastor Toby, Chuck Knox, Waterboy, and of course you guys know N.D. Wilson.
This show is brought to you by Samaritan Ministries. It's a healthcare sharing ministry with over 250,000 Christians that care for one another's needs, from broken bones to cancer, to pregnancies, to organ transplants, all without the use of insurance.
I'm sorry, say that part again.
All without the use of insurance. It's glorious. I mean, who,
This is new to Knox.
let's be honest. I mean, who really likes health insurance?
Nobody.
I mean,
About as
It's
much as I
like,
like the impeachment.
life insurance.
I
I mean,
I do.
It's like life insurance.
I was a big fan.
you're grateful
Are you
for it.
a member, Samaritan?
No.
No, but he.
Okay.
I had a brain tumor.
I'm grateful for the health insurance that we had in one of our massive medical
Sure.
problems. But I gotta say, I'm also thankful for how Christians are taking this into their own hands.
Absolutely.
And saying, let's not depend on the government. And let's be Christians and let's take care of each other as best we possibly can, which is what Samaritan Ministries is trying to do. It's not insurance. It's Christians just sending financial gifts to others when there's a medical need. Plus caring for one another spiritually. We pray for one another, encourage one another.
Love that
Christians do that through Samaritan. Hey, look, it's on the screen. That's great. Good job, Gabe. They know
I'm on
when
it.
an illness or injury happens, Samaritan members have their backs. And people in my family, friends of mine, have had actually pretty significant medical issues and have been on Samaritan Ministries, and they've been taken care of. God's used it to bless them. If you want to learn more about how you can be part of this ministry, helping each other with health care, visit SamaritanMinistries.org/crosspolitic, or you can call 877-459-1662. That's SamaritanMinistries.org/crosspolitic.
Tell them Cross Politics sent you.
877-459-1662.
Hey, and for club members, we got a lot going on. We got new stuff in the club portal dropping this week.
That's right.
The after show with Virgil Walker,
James White,
James
Doug
White,
Wilson.
Pastor Wilson.
Yeah.
That's me
Oh,
dropping.
right, because we left everybody hanging.
We did
on the couch.
There's like 45 minutes or an hour left of content that we talked.
Is it that much, really?
45 minutes or so. Yeah.
Wow.
And then Satakoy now dropped their content in our club portal. You can actually download their latest
yes.
albums in our club portal.
it's like
Such a northwest sound.
like a folk band
kind of folk band. They're great
from Moscow.
And then we're going to be giving away a bunch of books and maybe a Riot and the Dance DVD. Maybe we give away.
We could maybe do a Blu-ray, but I don't know about a DVD.
Yeah, Blu-ray.
Yeah,
maybe.
it's 2020 now. We do Blu-rays now.
We're living in 2018, actually.
Yeah, really, Blu-ray still, and
So
so
we'll hook you up.
Oh,
we're
sure.
going to be giving away some books and possibly a Riot and the Dance Blu-ray to all club members. Club members are the ones who can get into the.
So when are we doing the drawing?
Knox is leaking over here.
Probably next show.
You leaking?
You're all right. Probably next.
Okay.
Probably next show is what we'll do.
Okay, so next
I got to get all the names
when
of
we
club members
record
and
our next
drawing.
show, which will be
Yep.
next Friday.
Yes.
So this show drops Sunday night.
Yep. So
Hi,
next
Sunday.
Sunday night we'll do the drawing.
Are we going to do the Wheel of Fortune thing? Where
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll try to.
yeah,
So I'll
all
try
the
to figure
names.
all
I'm
that.
in.
Flip
And then
through.
lastly, all new club members get the special Fight Laugh Feast.
Can you get that
t-shirt.
anywhere else?
You can't get it anywhere else. You got to be a club member to do this. And lastly,
Until
you're gonna-
I pirate it. Once I pirate it.
Yeah,
Could you do that? You know what
can
pirating
get it
does?
easily. You can easily
Anywhere.
pirate. We don't.
Do it.
And then lastly, all club members will get $100 off at our Fight Laugh Feast conference in Nashville, October 1st through 3rd.
Message.
Which it pays for itself then.
Yeah,
I mean, like you're losing money if you don't sign up for a club memmembership.
That's how it works, Gabe.
And
Because you
Samaritan
get a
Ministries.
and
Do it all.
Samaritan Ministries. That's right. Because you get a discount on our club.
Do you have
our
a
conference.
thing yet for our conference?
I just have that for a T-shirt.
Gabe.
That's it.
I mean, that's cool.
you were
but-
doing so good.
Yeah.
I do need to get to that.
October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, 2020 in Nashville.
And Pastor Wilson is already committed. George Grant is committed. Nate Wilson is going to be there.
I'm
most
in
likely.
the wind.
He's-
I'll try.
We're trying to get Nate there.
I'll try.
To speak
What
at
you
the
need,
conference.
Nate? Tell us what you need
Yeah,
right now. We'll
yeah,
get it
what
for
is
you.
We're gonna. I
Right
did
in the
this-
dance needs to go big. Tell us what you need, man.
We'll see how your club members perform with Riot.
Okay. All right.
All right. All right.
Okay.
Y'all heard that, right? Y'all better get busy.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So the Iowa caucus for Hunger Games.
Do we have
is
Hunger Games music?
on
we
Monday.
don't have
No.
Hunger Games music
What?
because you know what? I'm sick of it.
Oh.
I'm done with
All
Hunger
right,
Games
okay.
music. I
All
want
right,
it
never
over.
mind.
I'm done.
All right, never
Done.
mind. Never mind.
I'm with
So-
David.
So the Iowa caucus is on Monday, which kicks things off. But
Does the Iowa caucus have anything to do with Samaritan Ministries?
no.
So
probably
can we change the screen?
Afterwards, there's going to be a lot of injuries.
If Bernie is
Probably
president, you'll have wished you were
Well,
on Samaritan
here's
Ministries.
exactly. Well, here's the deal. So you got 4 caucuses or 2 caucuses and 2 primaries before Super Tuesday on March 3rd.
Wait. Okay, I'm doing
So
the math.
2
Okay,
caucuses.
so we're a month out from Super Tuesday.
Yep.
And there's 4 before that.
Yep. And so basically 4 states go before
Who's
Super
that?
Tuesday.
So
It's
Iowa.
Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada.
Okay.
And it looks like, if you believe polls, it looks like that Bernie and Biden are going to split the 2, the
Of
4
those
states.
4.
And so I think
I think we should just all say right now that we don't believe polls.
Yeah.
That's
So-
was in my head.
yeah.
How about we just let the dust settle?
Right.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm painting the picture for Super Tuesday.
If the polls are right,
yeah.
for their first time
Right.
in modern history.
and California is now on Super Tuesday. It used to be 3 months
So
away.
how many states go on Super Tuesday?
16. Well, 16 primaries and caucuses happen on Super
Right.
Tuesday. One's like there's like they allow territories to participate in the
Like-
primaries.
So like Puerto Rico or something?
Yeah.
The Virgin Islands.
Yeah, I think Puerto Rico is the
The outskirts of the empire. All-
Yeah.
That's right. Their empire.
They can
get to vote.
put some
Magic dust on.
incense on the altar.
but here's what's funny is Biden like keeps campaigning against himself.
Yeah.
He's
When he entered the race, he campaigned for himself.
That's right.
Let's just be honest.
I got a couple.
It's getting
clips.
weirder.
It's getting worse.
I think it's getting weirder.
Yeah.
I can think of at least 8 women, at least 4 or 5 people of color that I think are totally qualified to be Vice President of the United States. But for me, it has to be demonstrated that whoever I pick is 2 things. One, is capable of immediately being president, because I'm an old guy. Okay? No, but I'm serious. Look, thank God, I'm in great health. I work out. No, I'm serious. I work out every morning. I'm in good shape, knock on wood, as my mother would say.
He doubled down on
but
that.
I know people who've died,
Yeah.
and I need to prepare for that.
all my friends are dead. No, but the question I have is, where's the white man at?
Yeah, right?
So he knows some women.
He'd be the president. The
He
white
knows-
man's the president.
So-
Always the president, man.
No vice president?
White man up top.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
That's what he's saying.
Okay, but so no white man underneath
He
him
knows
now.
a few women and a few
'Cause
people
that's
of
pretty
color who are
offensive.
qualified to be his sidekick.
Right.
Why does he call them colored people?
People of
Bernie,
color.
listen,
Do it
Bernie,
correctly.
Bernie comes from an old school where they were calling them the blacks. So you got to get Bernie's doing a really good job to
Right.
get people of color.
But
You
isn't
know,
that,
like
that is really bizarre though, that we went from the appropriate language was colored people, and then whoa, that was offensive,
Yep.
Yep.
and now it's
Put a of.
people of color.
Yeah. Much better.
I mean, what kind of Pharisees?
I want you to call me by my name.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Well, but it's like that's the thing is that it's completely ridiculous. I covered this on the news brief for Friday. Did you guys see the Goldman Sachs just put out this this statement? Their president is Solomon, is his last name. Says that beginning this year they're going to require all new companies that go public. So Goldman Sachs is the biggest underwriter for companies that go public, IPOs. And from now on, starting this summer, I think it's July 1st, they're requiring that every single board that they will underwrite to go public will have a minority, a person of color or a woman, and emphasizing females in particular.
Wow.
And and starting next year, they'll require 2.
so this is what you do when you want to cripple women or minorities of people or people of color.
Right. And explain why.
Because what happens is now all I need to do is be like, you know what? I need you. Are you qualified? That doesn't matter.
Right.
Do you have the skills to do the job?
Right.
That doesn't matter.
Right.
Did you get into the position because you were talented, capable, wise?
We don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
Because Goldman Sachs told me I got to have a person of color
Right.
in order to be able to exceed in with my business. So
Yeah.
what I'm going to do is just find me a woman. You work.
Probably one that won't get in the way.
I'll find me a mixed guy. I'll find me a mixed guy because now I can really you'll work.
And the deep irony, of course, is that.
And so that's exactly what tokenism is.
Right, exactly. But Goldman Sachs is run by a bunch of old white men.
Right.
First of all, they haven't retired or submitted
Is
their
the board,
resignations.
is the board all white?
I think they have some diversity maybe, but it's all led by all white men.
yeah.
The presidents are all white men. And they also announced that this requirement will not apply to China. Chinese companies they don't believe in that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, who says that? What's the standard on that?
Right?
Who says that? Now, right now, I think it was Clarence Thomas that said that I have no idea what my graduation, my paper, what it means anymore.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I actually earned this.
Right.
I don't know if that.
When we were talking to Walter Williams, he pointed out he was really grateful for the fact that he still lived in times where it didn't matter. In fact, the odds were stacked against him.
Yeah.
And so when he did well, he knew he did well.
And I think he failed his bar or his
the first time
dissertation.
He failed
like
it, and he knew like I wasn't given anything. I had to work hard and earn every bit of it.
Yeah, and actually, every minority group that's come in America, regardless of Italians,
the
Irish, it didn't matter. All the conflict, all the friction only made them stronger.
Exactly.
And one of the things that we've seen within the black community, with black people and minorities, and we're going to do this with Hispanics too pretty soon if we keep this up, is that we've been removing the tension and friction from some of this. And it's been hindering the growth because we've been playing with them.
Right.
Leave them alone. Do what Frederick Douglass said do. If they can't stand on their own 2 feet, don't touch them.
Let them fall.
Let them fall.
Right.
And so we keep propping up.
And Christians of all people should understand this. I mean, this is what this is built into the logic of the gospel, that God says, if I love you, I'm going to discipline you. Yeah. And you're going to be disciplined. I'm going to give you hard things. And of course, on the flip side, we say, if there are places where people are being intentionally mistreated and intentionally treated unfairly, unjustly, and so forth, that can be addressed, but not by just carrying everybody to the chocolate cake, not by just giving everybody the free pass.
There is a. I mean, we can see the same impulse everywhere, right? So what you just said, quoting Frederick Douglass, is if they can't stand on their own 2 feet, let them fall.
Yeah.
But that applies to every race.
That's right.
And you see the government especially is unwilling to do that with anybody. It's not about minorities or women. It's about their own white kids too.
Right.
It's about millennials. It's about student loans. Yeah. It's about everything.
Yeah, and I think what happens is when you see this grasping, and I've seen it right now, especially with like younger white kids, especially when you see this grasping and everybody trying to get theirs, you start looking around and say, "There's not enough for everybody to get theirs," and then we still have something here. So what do you start doing? You create a culture of everybody starts grasping for it.
Right.
Yep.
Well, and it's not based on actual skills and what you're actually producing, a product. Now it's just based on your relationships, and it's all backroom deals and who's paying off who. And speaking of quid pro quos, I mean that's all it becomes.
And then cue the college admission scandal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Come on now. Yeah. That's
okay.
real though.
Yeah.
Right. I have no segue from here to Biden's
Just
next
hit
video.
play. Just hit play.
Building and replacing pipelines. You have to go vote for somebody else.
All right, thanks so much, sir. We're going to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to vote you in the general if you treat me
Yeah, I
right.
know. Well, I'm not.
Can I have a
Look,
picture?
you're asking a picture of me, coming up and telling me you don't support me.
No.
My plan, yeah, you did. You said you
I said I would support you in the general.
in the general. I'm looking for a primary.
We're happy to
and
get
a
a number.
caucus.
We can follow up.
That's what I'm looking for, okay?
Just because
Now,
we're trying to get.
you believe that Bernie can do something and by 2030?
I'm actually
Getting in
supporting
his
Wild's
face.
desire.
He's getting in his space.
Did he just grab his coat like that?
Yeah, that was the thing that was striking about that particular clip was the grabbing him and poking him. Go vote for someone else.
That's unreal. It's like the first video. He's like, "I'm old. I need a good vice president because I could die while I'm president." It's like you aren't really.
Think of him as Gideon. He's just trying to send people home. That's all. Like Biden is pouring water on the altar. He's sending people home. He's doing.
I don't need you. I'm going to win with 300. I'm winning with 300.
He's doing all the things an Old Testament.
I don't think
judge
Biden
should
knows
do.
that story.
I'm sure he doesn't. Well,
He's testing his anointing. Let's just think of it that way.
but you know what? Nobody else can get away with this. Just for the record, like no one else can get away with this kind of touch. Biden has just been the most touchy.
Well, he's
candidate
the
we've had.
he's the
man.
anointed of the media. I mean,
You think so? Still?
Not anymore.
Well, I don't know, but he has been. I mean, but the number of gaffes and ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah, it's
you guys
true.
saw the one clip where he's talking about how when he was younger, he would hang out in these
And let kids rub his hairy legs
in
or
the
something.
pool, in the pool, and they would rub his.
Hairy
I think
legs.
I broke out into a sweat watching that clip. Where I was just like, oh. It's like somebody beat this man.
And you don't break out into sweats.
I mean, I've been known to, but it's that one. That whole story about the hair on his legs stands up underwater, and the little kids would love to come over and rub the hair down on his legs. It's like, dude,
no, what's wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? Tell the corn pop story again, please. something less awkward than this.
Corn pop.
So right now with the Democratic nominees, where we're at, it's looking like Biden or Socialist Bernie.
Yeah.
What happened quickly? If you can tell me, what does it look like if the Democrats pick one of those two?
Oh, we're way past predictability. I mean, when Trump won, like our ability to predict anything is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked at that primary field and the way politics works in general and thought, damn, there's no way this guy, the orange dude, who makes more gaffes than Biden, is going to get through the primaries. Right. And then if he does, there's no way he gets through the general. And then he does. I mean, we're past this stuff mattering. So we're way past this stuff mattering at all. This used to break candidates constantly. We're in a place where we have an identity crisis as a country. We have people throwing tantrums on both sides. I have no idea. I mean, the country we have is fully capable of electing somebody way crazier than Sanders and way crazier than Trump. Mm-hmm. Like we're in tantrum mode where anything could happen. Yeah. I don't think there's any kind of metric we could use to predict.
So what does it mean though if Biden, or not Biden, but if Socialist Bernie actually gets the nominee for the Democratic Party?
The country gets further humbled.
Yeah.
I mean, the DNC is humbled. The RNC has been humbled.
Yeah.
I mean, like we're in a place where it's all the circus now.
It's either humbling or it continues to unravel. I mean,
right.
I mean, the only alternative to humility is just more arrogance.
Yep.
And the arrogance is going to be more. I mean, and again, it's like you can't imagine like what's the next crazy thing that comes up. I mean, we have drag queens reading to little kids in public schools and libraries,
and that's nothing.
And that's nothing.
So we right now, like, we look at the humbling that Trump has been. Trump has been a humbling of an empire, right? But at the same time, Trump's the kind of guy who will always get humbled. Like, he is arrogant. He is proud. He cannot stop bragging on himself. And this is the kind of dude that God lays low.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it goes. But he's using him to lay low something else right now. And like, when Trump's time comes, I don't know when it is.
Yeah.
But like our political discourse, our country, our secular state, the myth we generated for ourselves is like a sweater that's been unraveled up to the armpits at this point.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at the other side. We look at the DNC and somebody's saying, what if we pulled this thread too? At the same time.
Yeah.
It seems to me
It's
like the next Democratic administration is going to be like 7 times worse, 10 times worse.
It's going to be like the worst hangover of all time.
It's like you clean out one demon and now you got 7 demons. And
this is the way the ricochet works. So it's like, if politically, think of America as like a really chunky kid on a swing, and you've got 2 political parties doing underdogs both directions. Like that's what we've got going on. And it's like, if you've ever given a kid a really big underdog, I remember lots of like playground time where you get up and that they start to just drop.
Yeah.
Like you're not just getting the arc anymore.
Yeah.
It's like you're going up and the chain goes slack and you drop and you land. Like that's kind of where we are right now.
Yeah.
Like we're in fat kid free fall. where it's like, and we're gonna hit that bottom hard and then it's gonna go the other direction. So the way Trump is governed, the way Trump has behaved, everything about him is this massive reaction, like this tantrum.
Yeah.
Like it's a tantrum.
Yeah.
And his supporters threw a tantrum. And it went that direction. Now I'm not a fan of the secular nation state. But man, this thing is coming apart. And we're all living in that ancient Chinese curse.
Are you going to vote for him in 2020?
I'll probably vote for Dave Barry, honestly.
Okay.
Because I voted for Dave Barry 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
It's
Gotta be the 5th time.
well.
It's gotta be the 5th time.
Yeah.
All right. When we come back, we're gonna talk right in the dance. Water.
Hey, we got 3 minutes
Water.
of unseen footage.
Well, I was gonna say that.
Oh, I was excited. Sorry.
Never before seen footage of Right in the Dance Water coming up next on Cross Politics.
Don't take that line from David.
With Nate Wilson.
that was really
Go ahead.
good.
No. Good job. I see you're excited.
Americans have been traveling down the health insurance highway for decades. But lately, it's been taking us to places we don't want to go. For Christians, it's hard to know which road to take. Or is it? Samaritan Ministries provides a different direction, a biblical path for their members to pray for each other and share financially in each other's medical needs.
This idea that Samaritan has adopted from the book of Acts should permeate all parts of our lives, not just health sharing. We, as a body of believers, are living out New Testament Christianity. This is what God intended for the church.
Do you believe that you need an insurance company, or do you believe that God will provide your needs? And there are people that you've never met before who are going to pray for you and meet your needs. There's another way.
Looking for a new direction for your health care? Visit us online at SamaritanMinistries.org.
And without any further ado,
Toby can't help himself. He's still paying attention to you.
I'm trying not to pay attention. Welcome back to Cross Politic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. We're grateful to have Mr. Indy Wilson in the studio with us today.
And without any further ado,
hold on. This segment is brought to you by Classical Conversations.
Oh, yeah, we like them too.
Yeah,
they're sponsors.
Classical Conversations believes that parents are the best teachers for their children. Classical Conversations is committed to helping families homeschool successfully all the way through high school. Their program offers community, in person,
love that,
and online, encouragement, fellowship, accountability, support from like-minded parents, rich downloadable resources, online forums, and video tutorials. Tried and trusted learning framework with recommended assignments, trained parent tutors that model the classical approach, share the love of learning through a classical and Christian worldview, and fellowship with other families. Classical Conversations families thrive using these 3 keys to a great education. Do you know them?
Classical. Conversation. Community.
The power of speech.
You got it. Classical, you got it. Christian, and community.
Yeah, that goes without saying, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, so check them out.
And without any further ado, a sponsor. Were they a sponsor?
Yeah.
They were, yeah. Presenting sponsor.
Water. 2 hydrogen molecules plus 1 oxygen molecule, linked together to form one of the strangest, most pervasive, most essential substances on this planet. Hydrogen, gaseous and highly flammable. Oxygen, gaseous and essential in our blood and brains. When holding hands in the right numbers, these elements become life-sustaining liquid, unless it's cold. Then they regiment themselves into billions of ornate crystals. Or, if it's warm, then they float up into billowing clouds to recongregate until they fall back down in vast armies. This liquid refreshes. This liquid destroys. When pressurized, it can cut through slabs of stone like a child's finger through cake. It flies. It falls. It freezes. It can be as still and beautiful as heaven's mirror. It can rage, terrifying even the most powerful nations. It cuts canyons and smashes cities. It soothes a dry mouth. It never stops moving, flying, freezing, thawing, falling, pooling, and flying again. At this very moment, somewhere in this world, the molecules of water that spilled out of Christ's side on the cross are still at work, floating in clouds, falling on windshields, heaving in the tidal seas, moistening eyes. The same is true of the water that parted in the Red Sea, the water that parted in the Jordan, the water used in Christ's baptism. It might be in baptism that we see water as its truest self. It is death, it is life, destruction, resurrection. Water forms another world inside of our own, full of life and death wherever it accumulates, populated with the smallest and the largest creatures ever crafted, full of decay, full of renewal. I'm going to take you into that strange liquid world. I'm going to show you creatures in everyday puddles and ponds that defy belief, monsters worthy of science fiction and little beauties beyond the craftsmanship of any human artist. Together, like the baptized, we will enter the liquid world, and we will reemerge, changed, with a little more knowledge of the artist who made it all.
She's a captive till she sees. By the morning light, redeemed. Sons and daughters. She waits, she waits. She waits. She waits, she waits. She waits. She waits, she waits. She
Wow. That is awesome.
There we go.
I got the chills. I got the chills.
Uncuts, right there is watching the sausage get made. That's uncolored, unmixed, still right there.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
whoa.
it makes me happy.
Whoa.
Wow.
Every time. I've seen that 100 times. Every time it gets me.
Man,
Wow.
I am moved right now
Oh,
to
yeah.
worship. That is beautiful, brother.
That's
Yeah.
the goal.
That's
That
is the goal.
Beautiful. And just as a filmmaker and watching you working in water is the most complicated. The lighting, what do you bring your lights down to? How do you get your cameras in there to do all that? I mean,
it's especially when we set out to do it, we were a crew of people, none of whom had been scuba certified, none of whom had filmed underwater. Ever.
Wow.
no complications whatsoever,
It's like,
right?
we'll be fine.
Yeah.
We're gonna be just fine. I mean, there's a reason why it took us 3 years. So
You've been working on this for 3 years.
3 years. Yeah, we started production before the last one released.
Really?
Because we knew it was going to take a minute.
Okay.
Yes.
And some of the coolest experiences of my life have been in production of this film. And I'm extremely happy with how it turned out.
Tell us.
Getting to know sharks.
Okay.
Okay, you can keep that one.
I mean, legitimately getting to know sharks.
They can be friendly.
Which, no.
I was going to say, who is this guy?
But getting to know sharks meant that I got to know Genesis 9 in a different way.
Oh.
You know, getting to know creatures and seeing creatures in different places.
Genesis 9
is deeply moving.
Connect the dots.
The man is made in
flood.
God. The dread of man is in all the beasts.
Yeah.
You know, we had these fantastic guides took us out miles off the North Shore. There's a deep trench, which they said is kind of like a shark interstate. You know, like this trench, there's like sharks are always moving between the islands. They're always there. They're there. They're drawn to noise. So by the time we got there, they surfaced to the boat, circling the boat, and their tail slapping the water. They're
so they know you there.
They're bullying each other. They're circling the boat. We're out miles from land.
Wow.
And we hit this spot, and all these sharks surface.
What kind of sharks are they?
Galapagos, sandbar, tiger. You know, the
eating type.
Yeah, sandbar. Sandbar are smaller. Galapagos will chomp you. Tiger sharks obviously are going to chomp you. Tiger sharks will chomp anything. But we get out there and we have this whole speech given to us about how sharks are basically hippies, and they're not going to hurt anything, right? So we get the.
I don't believe that.
No, so there's two orientations.
So
The
Dane, jump in.
Yeah. So
You first.
The first orientation was, listen, sharks are teddy bears. They're the best.
Really?
We hurt more of them than they hurt of us. I'm like, I don't care about the scoreboard. I don't really care.
Yeah, exactly.
But
who's keeping score?
Yeah, so
Who's keeping that
we get
score?
that orientation, and then we pivot to orientation number 2, which is don't wiggle your fingers, don't stick your arms out, stay on a swivel. Like swivel like mad, because they're going to come at your back. They're going to come from your feet, at your feet, at your back, anywhere where your eyes aren't. So stay on a swivel. Aggressive eye contact is your only defense. They don't like they
Stare 'em down.
They will respond to eye contact.
So it's like being in the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Aggressive eye contact is your only defense.
Wow.
Don't wiggle your fingers. If you drop your camera, don't reach for it. It's gone, because they will compete for stuff.
Yeah.
So if there's a thing that's moving and you are trying to get it, they're going to try to get it first,
So-
and then you're going to be in conflict.
So it sounds like you weren't in a cage.
No, we were not in a cage. And so I had big conversations with family members. I was rebuked by my little sister at one Sabbath dinner, and she was just saying, "What makes you think you're the one who's supposed to do this?" And I was like, "Well, it's a calling, you know." So we get out there, and the sharks come up, and it's one of the strangest experiences of my life to be sitting here looking at sharks. They're on the surface, they're circling the boat, and then you put on you're not even scuba diving because they're drawn to bubbles, so you're just snorkeling. At least you have a tank on your back. You feel like if they came at your back, you'd have some metal back there.
Wow.
So you put on a mask, and they say, like, as you're getting in, don't put your feet in. You got to bend over and get your face in first.
Head first. Head first.
Face in first.
This doesn't get better.
Oh, man.
So as I go in, that sensation of like doubling over and putting my face in the water and seeing, like, at that moment, 29 sharks.
Oh my goodness.
Circling.
Wow.
And I'm getting in with them. I'm actually just I'm going in.
Yeah.
Wow.
And later on, so I was in the water for 3 hours with these sharks circling.
Wow.
And
That's
as it
intense.
went, I've never been at such an adrenaline
For
like,
that long.
spike.
Yeah.
And then it didn't fall. Like, it's just adrenaline that
Wow.
just stays.
Yep.
And then later on, another tour came out. They dropped a cage, and a bunch of more sharks showed up. And they're sitting over there in this cage, and we're just out here swimming around the cage with the sharks. So yeah, it was.
Who's in the cage?
Tourists. You know.
Yeah.
And we're like, we're serious. We have cameras. We're fine.
So
Could y'all not put the
how come
cage
they didn't
around
bite
here?
you? How come they didn't bite?
Eye contact.
That's it.
That's it. Eye contact. I kicked one. I had to shove off these things. I had some pretty like terrifying moments, but at the same time, the eye contact's for real.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
for real. It's the weirdest thing
So
I've
you
ever
look
experienced.
them in the eyes, and
You can only look in one eye at a time.
Okay.
So I'm on a swivel. I got underneath the boat actually, and I had my hand on the bottom of the boat, holding myself, and I'm just kind of like assessing everything, looking around, looking between my feet. Sharks are trying to come up under your feet. You have to lean over, like just kind of like dive and give them eye contact. And I realized, I haven't been turning. Like, I turn, and it was. I'm under the boat with like an 11-foot, 10 to 11-foot shark.
Yeah.
Like it's just me and him.
Yeah.
Oh,
And he's coming. He's just coming at my back. And he's not gaping, like he doesn't have his mouth open, but he's coming in to see what I am. And as I turn around, he's just like, he's already within 3 feet of me.
Wow.
And it was just like, oh, like
So
Your eyes got big.
I would have
Punch him in the nose?
No, because I turned, and so he immediately turned his head, and we locked eyes from like 3 feet away. And he just like came down my body. He just like bent down. I gave him a little kick on the end of, but he just rolled away. As soon as I saw him, it was like, okay, I'm not gonna do this. But the thing is also, like, you'd watch, and we have one moment in the film that shows this. A leaf would land on the surface of the water, and the sharks would all go check it out. Like, they have so much sensitivity.
Yeah.
They're receptors. They can sense disturbances, and every one of them goes over and checks. If you've ever been in the water, you've been checked out by sharks.
Yeah.
I mean,
Really?
you have been checked out by sharks, 100%. They know you're there,
Wow.
and they are highly, highly designed, amazing.
But-
and that Genesis 9 thing, when you look at like how many millions of them there are, and how many of us are in the water at all times, and how
Right.
few shark attacks there are, it does make me think like, oh man, maybe they are hippies. No, they're not. They have the dread of man. They know this is the image of God, and the lifeblood of man is going to be required of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, there are disobedient sharks, and there are sharks who obey.
Yeah.
Like, they're designed to be these lethal hunters, fast
Right.
and amazing.
Yeah.
And they're fulfilling their design. They're out there just living the way God told them to live. And then some tiger sharks are stumbling, they're sinning, and they're chomping on people, and they're going to answer for it.
Wow.
It's like, there is blood guilt for animals, and you could see that in them. Like, it was
Interesting.
really, really strange.
Has anybody died on doing that kind of thing? I mean,
Oh yeah, but not recently. Have
they gotten?
a Galapagos shark chomped somebody and doing something similar, right around the same time we were there.
Was that because he wasn't looking him in the eye? I mean,
No, there's actually one guy got flipped off, like he got taken out off his kayak. He was above water, and he got they just dumped
They
him.
went
And,
for him.
they dumped him and chomped him. Another guy on the same spot where we were had dropped a GoPro, and
He went for it.
he just tried to grab it, and he got hit. It's kind of like with dogs or anything else, where you see you see the reaction.
Yeah.
Like you see like the impulse, like it's so built into them. Like, oh, there's a food item and the camera's electrical and they're picking up electrical,
all that going through
stuff.
But what a morning not to cut yourself shaving, right? Like that, you don't want to. That is not.
But see, here's the thing. I was coming from the Northwest, a landlubber. I was thinking, man, you couldn't put me in a cage with one bear.
Right.
You could not put me in a pen with 30 dogs, let alone 30 wolves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here I am for 3 hours hanging out with sharks that are all
3
bigger than
hours.
all bigger than I am.
Wow.
All of them are bigger than me.
Yeah.
All of them are wicked fast.
Yeah.
The rows and rows and rows of teeth, and they behave better than dogs would have. And that was weird to me. That was super, super weird, and made me realize that things are a little bit different than I had assumed.
Yeah.
Was this like first day of filming? Did you guys decide to do this? Where were you guys at when you decided to?
We were into production. We were maybe a week and a half or a week, because the first thing we had to do was get scuba certified. Everybody had to get certified. So we went to Hawaii. We went to Waikiki. Everybody from Gordon, every member of the crew, we went through this whole certification process, and that was the first cost of production.
Yep.
And then a little bit after that, we went out on this snorkel tour of the sharks.
Wow.
But the whole experience, I mean, I would say the goal for this film, the goal for these films is the study of God's word. And his spoken word. Like there's his special revelation and there's his natural revelation.
Right.
And Christians have abandoned his natural revelation for a long time.
Right. And we've let the people who hate God tell the story. They're the ones that keep telling us what the words mean.
And I think this is doing these movies is not like a little side thing because I like nature, although I do. Doing these movies is probably the single most subversive, most important thing I do.
Wow. That's really good.
Of everything I do, this is the stuff that goes right at it. And it goes at it in two ways. It goes at it like trying to replace the priests who say we are the priests of natural revelation.
Right.
Like, no, you're not.
No.
Yeah.
We're gonna actually kind of war with you, but we're also going to cut off the catechisms that you're delivering to our people, our children, our families who love God's creation.
That's right.
People who love God's creation are often the most vulnerable. Like parents will get nervous. Like, man, my son's getting really into nature. And it turns out there is a whole lot of garbage out there attacking him at all times.
Over and over again, I meet Christian kids on campus who grew up in the church, grew up in Christian youth group, Christian school. They come to the university, and they tell me, I took a few science classes, and then I realized I couldn't believe in God anymore.
Right. So imagine if we'd let atheists translate all of our Bibles.
Yeah, right.
And
right.
Come
on,
a lot of pastors are atheists doing that.
You preaching. Go ahead.
You imagine if we did that, and then you said, okay, so the Bible now says there is no God.
Right.
Everything's chaotic and meaningless. You're a piece of shrapnel.
Right.
And yet we keep using them. Yeah, and then we're shocked that we lose people.
Right.
That like the word of God itself is lying to us.
Right.
We've allowed natural revelation to be exegeted, extrapolated, taught, and like all the catechisms are built by people who hate it and hate the one who made it. And they hate the people who love the one who made it.
Right.
And they're just seeding all this.
So I want to watch the rest of this movie.
Yes.
How
not yet.
How can we watch the rest of the movie?
So the way you can watch the rest of the movie is you can go to riotthedance.com and you can get a family pay-per-view thing for March 6th. March 6th, it's going worldwide. There's no territories on it. We're going everywhere. You can sign up with your family. There's a bunch of free swag if you sign up before February 14th. Last time we made everybody go to theaters, and it was like crazy expensive, and families had to drive hundreds of miles, and it was tough.
And they did.
They did. We were in 1,100 screens, but we just didn't get to everybody.
Yeah.
So with this one, the thing I'm excited about is if you want there to be a showing in your town, at your church, at your school, in your co-op, in your classical conversations community.
Yeah.
If you want that,
you
sign
can have
up.
it. Yeah.
You can have it.
Yeah.
So if you go to riotthedance.com, you can get a public license.
Okay.
For-profit showings, non-profit showings, sell tickets, keep the money, use it as a fundraiser.
Wait. You can get it and show it and raise money for your own thing.
Yep.
Money off it?
And no accounting. Keep 100% of that money.
And none of it comes back.
None of it comes back to us. So we're doing $195 license.
Yeah.
Public license
For unlimited for-profit or non-profit showings.
Wow. I love that idea.
And it goes from March 6th to May 5th. You can do as many showings as you want.
And so you
we're
could
trying to
rent,
get
you
the
could
word
rent a
out.
theater
100%.
and open it up and show it.
Theaters are grabbing it,
That's awesome.
and they're going to keep the
Or
money.
or I could just get it for my family.
Yep,
and
you
we
can get it for your
we
family.
can watch it. There's a family
Mm-hmm.
deal
You
as well.
can do a down and dirty thing and got a big theater set up in your house and the outside somewhere.
Oh yeah, like one of those outdoor
and
theaters.
charge people $10 a ticket.
You could
and
rent
you
a
can clean
swimming
up.
pool, be
Yeah.
authentic,
Oh, yeah.
get everybody on an inner tube watching.
Yeah.
Because it's in the water.
Yeah,
and you're
in the
watching
water.
in the water.
In the water.
No sharks, though, in the pool.
Auditoriums, classrooms. If a school gets it, they can show this thing in every single classroom. Like between
Oh,
May
that's
6th
lovely.
to
As many times as
March
they want.
6th to
Yeah.
May 5th. As many times as you want. We just want to give it to God's people. Like, go do it.
Make it happen.
Make it happen. If we go back into theaters keep 75%.
Yep.
Right.
Wow.
It's 75% now?
If you go through Fathom,
Oh.
they double dip, so the theaters take half.
Oh,
the Fathom
wow.
takes
It's 25.
it's like, and they are the theaters. They're
Yeah.
the theaters.
Yeah.
We might do it again at some point, but it just doesn't make sense. We didn't reach as many people as we wanted.
Yeah.
We had so much disappointment from people saying, didn't come to my town, didn't come to my theater, didn't come here.
Yep.
If you want to see it, you get a hold of your elders, get a hold of your pastor, get a hold of your superintendent, your co-op organizer,
Your book group, whatever.
your CC community leader,
Yeah.
your book group. Get the movie. It can be on any screen you want it to be on.
You can go
March
there right
6th.
now and you can sign up for it right now.
RiotTheDance.com.
I love that.
Super easy. And we got amazing shirts,
Yep.
too. Swag.
Oh, swag. Get the swag, too. When we come back, I want to talk to you about theology and beauty.
Yeah.
And I want to talk to you, why is that so disconnected right now from each other? Because I see that.
Yeah.
I get theology, I get beauty, I get worship. It's all connected. More of that when we come back on Cross
absolutely.
Politic.
Classical Conversation supports homeschooling parents by cultivating the love of learning through a Christian worldview in fellowship with other families. We provide a classical, Christ-centered curriculum, local, like-minded communities across the United States and in several countries, and we train parents who are striving to be great classical educators in the home. For more information and to get connected, please visit our website at classicalconversations.com. Classical, Christian, get connected, get community.
But we let the club members know ahead of time.
I don't understand how that works.
Doesn't
Explain
make
that to me
any
again.
Hey, just
So how
don't
is
worry about it.
We have an app now.
Stop worrying about it.
We haven't had, and
That's
club
what he said.
members, and
Listen
club
to the man.
members
He
are
just
the,
said stop worrying about it.
club members are the only ones that can download it right now because I told them.
Nobody else knows.
It doesn't make any...
Can anybody go to the App Store and download the app right now if they wanted to?
But they wouldn't find it.
If I told them,
Welcome back to Cross Politic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network.
I don't understand.
You may or may not be able to download a new super secret members only app from the App Store.
it's not members only, but our club members are the first ones to know about it.
Now, Fight Laugh Feast, search Fight Laugh Feast, fun in your App Store.
You've known him for too long.
we're-
You're already used to this.
We're updating it constantly with new content on all the shows.
You can log in and see some of that content, right? So
Yeah,
club
club
members
members
have the
can.
backdoor access to the app.
Oh,
So Fight Laugh Feast Network, type that in the iTunes store and you can get access to it. We still haven't put in all the historical shows, but you can get all the current shows
Can
on it
we
right
talk
now.
about the possibility of having a potential sports podcast? coming? Possibly.
I'm having a call.
We're talking about it. It's in the works.
We want that.
That's
Yeah.
something we're, yeah.
Hey, this segment is brought to you by One Hat.
Who helped us on the app.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, One Hat.
They don't make hats, but they make apps.
Duh.
I did it all by myself. Just came up with it off the dome piece, just like that.
That's good.
You're welcome.
Off the dome piece.
Excuse me. I was trying to read an ad.
I'm sorry.
Does your business need a simpler digital workflow?
We do.
Is your software difficult for new people to learn? Are there gaps in your software where it just doesn't do everything you want it to? Well, let One Hat make your life easier with custom software built just for your needs. One Hat Hey, look at that. Technologies excels at creating beautiful, easy to use, and powerful business software. Their motto is software craftsmanship to the glory of God.
I love
They've
that.
been in business for 18 years. They're striving to live out the lordship of Jesus Christ in the technology world.
Praise God.
So take the headache out of your day-to-day business processes with custom software or a website or mobile app like we did with onehat.com/crosspolitic. That's ONEHAT.com/crosspolitic. Also, One Hat starting a network of Christian developers. So if you're a developer, check it out on their website.
Don't they have like an amazing tagline about beauty and art?
software craftsmanship to the glory of God.
You missed that.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I said that part.
And Subsplash is the church app company that is also partnering with us on the app. So
nice.
it's their platform, and One Hat helped us build it.
That's awesome.
So
That's really awesome.
make sure your church checks out Subsplash. I know our church uses Subsplash, and yeah.
All right, Nate. So
Yes, sir.
you've seen this. I've seen this, especially working in film. Right now, it seems like with Christians, there's this theology thing that we have, and we got all this, especially Reform. We love this Reform theology and digging down to Reform doctrine. And then there's this beauty side over here.
Right.
And they just do that, but they don't connect.
Right.
You know, and it just seems like there's theology and there's beauty, but never the two shall meet. How in the world do we get to the place where we can get beauty and theology to come and marry? And it seems like you can do that with what you're doing with your films right now. Like I'm seeing that in the 4-minute piece that we had here that nobody else has anywhere else, except for Cross Politic. What are you doing? How are you bringing those two together?
So I think step one is to not buy into the lie of artistic personalities versus like intellectual, analytical personalities.
Okay.
What we love to do is we love to double down on what we think is our strength, and then that's it. Like we don't do anything else. So people say, "Oh, I'm artistic. I like to create. I'm never going to take a theology class."
Oh.
And so they just go and work on their brush strokes or their camera work or whatever, but they don't have content. They don't have the content refined, disciplined, understood. But on the flip side, and I think far more hypocritical, is those people who say, I'm just worried about my theology. I'm going to keep it square. And I can say, God is the only foundation for beauty. Check. True. And then I'm going to go lead an ugly life.
Ooh.
I'm not going to pursue beauty in any way.
And they know better.
I'm not going to appreciate beauty. I'm not going to even look at it. Like, I'm not going to pay any mind at all to this entire museum of artistry that God's created.
Yeah.
Your Father gave you the keys to a world, and he filled it with his craftsmanship, with his work, with his glorious artistry. And they say, no. I've got the little true or false questions over here, and I've circled all the correct T's and all the correct F's. I'm not going to look at that. I'm not going to watch the tidal seas. I'm not going to look at a seahorse. I'm not going to look at a manatee. I'm not going to even think about a breaching whale. Like, why would I? Well, because God did it. Like he made this stuff and then he gave it to us, and it's beautiful. The beauty is everywhere. And so they think a theology of beauty is sufficient without actually pursuing it.
But you're saying though that it's like you have these two massive books in your theological library.
Yeah.
And they have a stated resolute refusal to read one of them.
Correct. Yep.
I mean, so you're saying in order to be a faithful theologian, you have to read the other book.
Right.
You need to care about the breaching whales. Otherwise, you're not paying attention to half of what God said about himself and about the nature of the world.
Yeah. And as one example, my family, we're very humanities literature people. Yeah. If we just bought into that division, we'd be all over on just the art side. Like we'd be hanging out in fiction and lit, and that's it. And when my son tells me, he's like, man, I love physics.
Yeah.
Physics is amazing.
Yeah.
Like it just makes me happy. Like, no, all those patterns are put there by God. You're doing a deep dive, discovering all these things that God laced into his creation. And I'm all about that. We're all about getting out and catching the snakes, getting out, catching the frogs, looking at the magic of the tadpole turning into the frog. I mean, that's just bonkers.
Yeah.
The creatures you see in this movie, the creatures we found, whether it's, water beetles liquefying frogs and drinking them like juice boxes, or,
wow,
manatees that just want to dance, spinner dolphins and humpback whales that are the only whales that sing.
Yeah.
And they sing, and they'll sing for days and days and days and days.
Wow.
And they'll sing the same song on a loop.
It's not an atheist song either.
No, it is not. Yeah. It is not a song about chaos.
That's right.
It is not a song about meaningless. And you have these things the size of school buses, or 3 or 4 or 5 school buses, just singing from Hawaii to Alaska. And they sing a 15-minute song on a loop all the way.
And they're praising God.
And it's louder than a jet engine. It's
Can you hear it if you go into water?
Oh yeah. No, it's insane. And then you have all these scientists saying, but why do they breach? Like what possible reason could they have to spend that much energy? Do you know how much energy it takes to swim something the size of 3 school buses fast, just through water, just that resistance, just to go through water, but then to go fast enough that you can launch that much weight into the air all the way out of the water. Like that is an enormous waste of resources. It is. And so they have to try to come up with
survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
What?
It's like, how does this increase survival?
Right.
Like, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
God likes watching
it glorifies God. And
God
spinner
made him do
dolphins
that.
are the same. And you see this everywhere. You see the laughter. You see the joy that God had in his creatures and in making stuff.
Right.
And we say, well, that's not my personality. I don't look at that. I read this book. I like syllogisms, or I like Calvin. And that's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Right.
But stop being such a moron.
Right.
And like, go sit in your front yard and look at just the vastness of everything in front of you.
What's some of the books that you've kind of read that's really gotten you excited about God's creation, and, you know, as you kind of prep for docs like this?
Yeah, I would say the thing that's kind of funny about it is there's not a lot of them.
Yeah.
There are books that make me excited, Life in Cold Blood and other things. So there's things like that about specific creatures that are interesting, but none of it is as interesting as just sitting outside.
Yeah.
And then looking at something and being like, what the heck is that? And then you start doing a deep dive on what it is and what do we know about it. And you realize how many things we don't have a clue. Right. Like we have no clue. Some of the weirdest creatures out there, octopi. Yeah. Like, so some of the things I've read that have inspired me about God the most are just secular articles about an octopus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how does this,
just breaking it down.
Yeah, and there's lots of people struggle with an octopus because it doesn't make any evolutionary sense at all. So
don't they have like 8 brains or something?
Yeah, they got extra brain in each arm.
Yeah,
and then you have a donut brain in the middle,
right? And
their throat goes through the donut hole, and so they can't take a big bite or they'll die
because they'll kill their brain.
They'll rupture their brain. So they got. And they are some of the softest creatures on the planet. You know, their flesh is one of the softest substances there is, but their beak is the hardest organic substance there is, attached to the softest, and it doesn't rip off, and it's crazy. So they're wicked smart. They only live a couple years, so the intelligence doesn't come from living in groups. They don't live in packs. They don't learn from the older ones. They just are wicked smart.
Right.
Like they have amazing problem solving ability. You know, they taste with the tips of their arms. You know, and it's wild. They're crazy. They can fit through any hole the size of their beak.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, just squiggle through.
I've seen
I love
videos.
them.
I've seen videos where octopus are fitting through like a hole this big or whatever.
Yeah, no, they're amazing. And you look at this and it's like, and every single new thing you learn about them tells you something about God and blows your mind.
Yeah.
You know, in some new way. And that's just like a creature. And it's wild.
Yeah, I'm just not buying your arguments. Just all random.
God just sitting there saying, inviting us to come and investigate and see His world right through just simple things like sitting on your porch and watching. Yeah,
and with the first movie, I had just gone through brain surgery and everything else when it was coming out.
Yeah,
and realizing that God's grief counseling in Job is go look at the animals.
Yeah,
and that was I didn't know why I'd never noticed that before.
Interesting.
Until that moment, where
you had to go look at the animals.
When God does grief counseling, it is not how we do grief counseling. Where
it's like, let's go. You should go swim with some sharks.
Yeah. You feeling bad for yourself?
Yeah.
Are you? Like, let's go look at something really big that swims.
Yeah.
You know, and explain it to me.
You know, something else too that's been really interesting watching this journey from this movie and the next one. You guys have kind of like. There's really no gatekeepers anymore.
No.
In the industry, you know, there's no excuses for why people can't do what they want to do. You guys didn't know anything about getting into the water, filming in the water, none of that. You guys go get certified. You grab your cameras, figure out the housing for it.
Only takes 3 years.
But you jump in and do it, and then not just that, how you're releasing the film.
Right.
It's also you're giving you're creating actually economic opportunities for people to make money off of your film.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just blowing the whole standard of how you do this thing out of the water. All the excuses are gone now.
Yep. And we hope it works. You know, we want to make sure. What I don't want to hear from anybody after this movie comes out is, oh, we wish we'd known.
Yeah.
Like we wish we'd known. Yeah. And administrators of schools and organizers of, you know, CC communities and co-ops, they're all busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Make sure you listeners get on your people.
So
tell them there's an opportunity. They can host their own screening, and hopefully it blesses all the families in your community as much as it's blessed ours.
So the theological theme is baptism.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an obvious
Presbyterian baptism, where you
connection there, but
the real kind.
I own that one.
But so what are some of the things you learned about baptism from this movie?
Well, it's weird because it's pretty basic, but I didn't think at the outset like, oh, this is about baptism.
Okay.
I just thought this is because it's not. We don't spend a lot of time talking about baptism. I thought this is about water. This is about what lives in water. This is what water does. God created this environment. He created everything to live in this environment. But the way that baptism is life and death.
Right.
And we think like, isn't that kind of amazing? You're baptized into death.
Yeah.
Into life.
Right.
Yeah, right.
And that's so weird. It's like, well, as soon as you actually go look at water, no, it's not. It's exactly what water is. It's what water is everywhere.
Right.
We die without it and it kills us.
Yeah.
Like it's smashing things and it's sustaining everything.
Yeah.
Like water is the great destroyer on this planet.
Right.
The single greatest destroyer and the only basis for life.
Yeah.
You know, it's everywhere. It's just
Yeah.
destroying and remaking over and over and over again. You can't go anywhere without just seeing the shrapnel of decay and death settling in the water.
Right.
And everything dies without it.
Right.
And God covered most of the planet with it.
Yeah. And
So-
every plant needs it. Every creature needs it.
right.
Nothing is alive without it.
And so puts it at the center of everything as if we need to be reminded of it constantly.
Yeah.
Like this, dying and living, death and resurrection, death and reresurrection.
Yep.
And we're the kind of people who are like, oh, I'm just going to have a drink of water.
I know.
It's drought and flood, drought and flood,
Right.
drought, like, and we know to fear both.
Yeah.
Like we fear the drought, we fear the flood.
Right.
And if as soon as there's not any water, we desperately want it. If there's too much, we want it to go away. And it's this balance that's there that he does with everything. And it's so realizing that like, oh wow, what he did with baptism was not unique.
Right.
It wasn't, he didn't take water and then give it a different role.
No.
It's the exact same role that he uses water for everywhere and he applies it spiritually.
Right.
And that was like a lights on moment for me.
Yeah.
I thought before, I talked about it all the way back in Notes from the Tilt-A-Whirl. Like when you look at the molecular structure, water molecules, et cetera, they didn't cease to exist. And we lose track of the reality of God. We lose track of the fact that Jesus Christ is physical right now, that he has a physical body right now.
Right.
But that water that spilled out of his side, that water's physical right now. That water exists somewhere right now. It evaporated.
Right.
It went into the earth. Plants used it.
Yeah.
It went up in the clouds. It fell back out of the sky somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
See, that's that tangible theology I'm talking about right there.
It's like it's still here somewhere.
Right.
And only God knows where every single one of those molecules has been for the last 2,000 years.
Right.
And he's given them jobs, tasks.
So
they've been places. And because he's an artist and because he's a absolutely infinite and amazing artist, I guarantee you those places are interesting.
Absolutely.
I guarantee you.
He put them in a place where he's like, this is going to be good.
Yeah. And if you had 2,000 years of these narrative threads following these water molecules and where they've been.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, to us, it would feel blasphemous.
Yeah.
We would see things happening, some dog peeing it on a tree, and we'd be like, this is entirely inappropriate. and God laughs. And only God laughs because only God knows. And you go deep, deep, deep down, and you find places where only God is laughing. So only God's laughing because only God knows what's going on.
So you wrote Notes from the Tilt-A-Whirl.
Yeah.
Death by Living, which we've been kind of, teasing some of the themes from those books.
We're going to be here for a while.
You wrote, well, no. I just want to highlight them. You wrote a bunch of fiction.
Right.
I remember Lee Pike Ridge. I remember
100 Cupboards.
100 Cupboards.
Yeah.
Rupert. You've got the Dragon. What's it?
Dragon's Tooth.
Dragon's Tooth. Ashtown Burials series.
When's number 4 coming out?
It's coming. I'll be back on.
Okay. What am I missing? What else have you?
Outlaws of Time.
Outlaws of Time.
Boys of Blur.
Okay.
All that stuff.
Okay.
Boys of
All
Blur.
this stuff, which is like
Hello Ninja.
That's hold on. You
did that to me. Don't act crazy.
Sorry.
You did that to me. Come on.
But you got all this depth, this beauty. I mean, even in the fiction, it's like it's complex. You're drawing off of a lot of classical motifs in your fiction, even though it's written for sort of that middle grade level, whatever. Hello Ninja.
Yeah.
Like really?
Yes,
absolutely.
Hello Ninja.
But I think this ties in with God knows about the the water molecules that might be in some dog's urine.
Yep.
And laughing. And so there's something there. Like the depths, the beauty, the glory, and the common and the mundane and the silly.
Yeah.
How does Hello Ninja fit into your project?
Hey, little people need food too.
Oh,
I mean that's so
Massive.
there's it's what I was talking about, that divide, that intellectual divide that we have, where like, well, this is for the artsy people,
right?
And we know that they're irrational and emotional and never make sense. And this is for those of us who are rational and we don't pay any attention to the entire world in which we exist. Like we love those divides, but we do the same thing with kids.
Yeah,
and we see that in the church everywhere.
Right,
like this is not for you. This is not for you.
Oh.
Like, well, it was pretty simple. My 3-year-old at the time came over to me with, I think, the Dragon's Tooth, and just said, "Hey, where are my books?"
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh,
I'll be right back."
And I said, "We'll do one for you tonight."
Okay.
And that night we wrote Hello Ninja.
Okay.
She sat there with me, and I worked on it, and I did I threw rhymes at her, and I watched what stuck, and I watched what brought joy.
Yeah.
Like what tickled her, like what made her happy, and that was Hello Ninja.
And so it's a little kid board book.
Picture book.
And it's like, what is it, 8 pages long?
No, it's 32.
Oh, it is now.
Yeah. No, there's that little board book, or the first iteration was a short book.
That's the one I'm more familiar with. Okay.
We expanded it into a 32-page picture book.
Okay.
We'll re-release a board book.
Okay.
But we expanded it out, so it's bigger, brighter,
yeah,
and a little more fun.
Remind me, like, so that came out like 3 years ago? 4 years?
Oh, wait, 7.
Oh, it's been that long.
Yeah.
I'm getting old.
6 or 7 years.
Feels like 3. And I remember it was like picked up by Starbucks.
Oh, yeah.
And Target, I think.
Yep.
Is that right? And then now it's a Netflix.
Yeah, now it's a Netflix cartoon. Yep. And it went and went and went. And
like,
little people need food too.
Yeah.
Turns out.
And it really,
and it got #1 binge.
I was gonna say, like, it blew up
on Netflix.
Yeah, no, forget Netflix, on all streamers.
And all streamers.
All streamers.
Across all streamers, yeah.
#1 binge.
For like the 4th quarter or something like that? Or what was it?
Month of November, or the ratings in November when it released.
Wow. Okay. How many episodes are out now?
10.
10 and are there more coming?
Yes, but I'm not supposed to talk about that.
Okay, we'll talk about that off air.
But
there are more coming.
Yeah, brilliant.
I don't know exactly when.
So, is this a surprise to you?
Yes and no.
That Hello Ninja like blew up.
It is, because it's a great testimony to the fact that where we put our striving is not necessarily where God puts His blessing.
Come on now.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
What I mean by that is, it was one night I sat down with my 3-year-old, and it came from a different kind of place. You know, I wasn't.
Yeah.
I love the novels, and I love writing novels, but this was so much easier and so much more fun.
Yeah.
And I almost threw it away. I mean, it was just kind of like, I'll print one for my daughter.
Okay.
You know, it was that level.
Here's your book.
This is for you.
So what made you
think?
An
audience of one.
What made you think, I think I'll float this and see if anybody else likes it?
I didn't.
Who did?
I actually ended up printing. There was a minimum order of board books when I self-published the first board book.
Okay.
And so we had to sell those.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, we're gonna sell
God
these.
forced you into it.
Yep. And then there was this massive promotional thing that was going on for Empire of Bones, Ashdown Burials 3.
Yes.
And political things were going on in New York around those books. And so one big marketing opportunity got sabotaged for Empire of Bones. So it didn't get this placement.
Okay.
And I was feeling like, oh man, that's too bad. And I felt bad. And so we said, what, we could sub in Hello Ninja. Nobody's ever seen this before.
Yeah.
This is brand new content.
Right.
I was like, I know you really wanted this giant novel.
Yeah.
And this was Starbucks.
Okay.
So I know you wanted to give away the Dragon's Tooth.
Okay.
Ashdown Burials 1, but what if I gave you something nobody's ever seen?
Yeah.
Like you had it exclusively and you could check this out. And they're like, yeah, probably not. I was like, we sent it over and they're like, oh, this is awesome. And so they pick of the week, there goes Hello Ninja.
Wow.
You know, and so when hundreds of thousands of units later, you know, it's crazy. Like, okay.
Wow.
And so again, back to the theme of like everything matters,
right,
in a certain way. I mean, you know, and it's all different, and God is free to do with it whatever He wants to do. But there's not really any throwaway moments.
No,
it's not any. There's no detail in all of creation that doesn't matter because God's infinite God.
Yeah. Why does squirrels bury nuts? Like, why do they bury seeds?
Right.
Like,
so that we can
answer that question. So we have forests.
Here we have oak trees.
Yeah, it's like they plant the forests.
Right.
Because God gave them this urge to bury stuff and a really terrible memory.
Yeah.
And so they never, and they get eaten and other stuff. Like they're just planting constantly. And that forest grows.
Right.
They're just digging little holes.
Right.
And
planting.
And that's what we're supposed to do with all of our days and minutes.
Right.
We're planting with our kids. We're planting with our wives, our husbands, our coworkers, the people sitting in the pews next to us at church, your neighbor next door, and everything, all your words, every breath is seed that we're putting into the ground. And sometimes you you pull something out and you sketch it for your 3-year-old.
Yeah.
And then God says, watch this. I'm going to take a little seed. I'm going to create this huge tree.
Yep.
And that's just beautiful.
Yeah. It's really, it is amazing. And we have this desire to have everything be highly respectable and super serious and important. And it's about saving the world, you know?
Right.
And then God says, have you seen pumpkins? like those are silly.
They're orange.
It's like, no, I'm trying to plant something serious here. And it's like, nope, it's another squash. It's just like, it's just
and you were
silly.
just loving your daughter.
Just loving your daughter.
It's like I'm a dad and I need to love my daughter right now. And she says, where's my book?
Yep.
And
because her older siblings could all read the novels. She was just, hanging out.
And everybody, you have that particular gift with writing and storytelling, but people have other, they can do it with woodworking. They can do it with working on a car. They can do it with singing and music. They can,
coaching your kids.
Yeah. I mean, all the ways in which you give, when you give real and it's just sacrifice and it's just give it before the Lord.
God blesses
it's seed that God blesses.
Yeah.
Man.
There's every single nut that every squirrel's ever hidden.
Yep.
God knows where they all are and he did exactly what he wanted with them all.
Yep. And you got to be thinking when you watch, Kobe's helicopter go down, when you see a friend of ours who was just intense coaching, constantly coaching, died at 48.
Yep.
You look at that and you think, man, I bet he wishes he didn't coach his kids so much. Like, no, I think it's such a blessing that this friend of ours who died had been so involved. I always looked at it and was like, man, how could I could never, how could I do that?
Right.
I can't get there.
Yeah. Right.
If you knew you were dead in a year,
right.
Like if
you could get there,
if you knew you were dead in 10 years,
right.
Like, well, all of us are on a countdown,
right?
We're all on a countdown to something, and we got to live like it's, like it's soon. A buddy of mine told me, man, you don't want to die with any Pappy Van Winkles in the bottle.
Yeah. Amen.
For real, for like literally or metaphorically.
Yeah. Right. Finish it.
Do it now. Do it now. I mean, like, just do it now. Quote. So when my sister was, I was all the way back in 2000 when I first met my wife and was saying, I want to make nature documentaries. I want to do this because they tick me off. And the world, I love the world. I love the creatures. I love what God's made. They tick me off when I make these. There was no opportunity. There was no chance of that at that time.
Yeah.
Right. The tech just didn't exist. The platforms, the ability to release didn't exist.
Yeah.
But I wanted it. And God had given me that desire. Like I wanted to do that. And then all this stuff starts to happen.
Yeah.
And do it now.
Right.
Like all of us have those little voices where we think like, I should really do this.
Yeah.
This would be great. I should really do this. And then there's all those reasons why I can't.
Yeah.
It's like
I should really jump in the ocean with all these sharks right now.
Just go do it.
So I can show
there's all these reasons why you shouldn't.
So I can show my kids and all your kids.
Yeah.
So I can put a camera in their faces and glorify God with this fish.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that we can say amen to that is by going to riotandthedance.com.
Absolutely.
Signing up, going ahead and getting, the license, getting the full license.
Just make sure a screening is coming to you, to your community.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why there can't be.
So, and you can even partner with 3 people. You guys go in together on the license, right?
The license is $195.
That's cheap.
And and you can do as many showings as you want for 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah. It's silly cheap if you have friends. There's a family license that's only $95.
Okay.
But if you want to do public showing, and there's free books, coloring books, stuff that comes with that for your family.
And think of this not just as we want to. First of all, you just saw the first 4 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
Of the film, and I want to see the rest of it now. And so you should do this because you just want to see it.
That's right.
Yeah.
But also think about what it is that you're supporting. You're voting with your checkbook in this moment also for more of this.
Yeah.
And it's not just more nature documentaries to the glory of God, but it's also just even thinking this way. Right. It's saying we want to see Christians see all of life, the whole world, taken in the name of Jesus. It all belongs to him. It's all for our good and his glory and for our enjoyment, his enjoyment. And that's what you're voting for.
Yeah. And if you are a family who is sitting there every Friday night trying to watch a movie with your family, you're spending 2.5 hours
click
going through. We see I'm happy to pay for Elijah just for me and my family, so that you guys can continue to go play around with sharks for us.
And if you want your kids to love what God's made without being worried that they're going to start not loving Him.
Amen.
It's like loving what He made is going to draw them closer to Him, not push them away.
Nate, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until next week, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic. RiotInTheDance.com. Go do it.
Do it.
Water.